Hey guys, Tinker Taylor here today, bringing you back another A to Z build challenge video. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this is probably my favorite one so far. Because I really have enjoyed this kind of style of build. I love I don't want to spoil it too much, but you know what? Once we get into it, I'll talk more about it. But yeah, it's something that I really love to do. I also really love to build on this lot. So if you've ever seen me build on this lot, you'll know exactly what kind of style I'm talking about and what I enjoy and what I like doing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun with this build. I put a lot of effort and energy into it. Hence the extremely long extremely long time here. I actually ended up cutting out a bit of the landscaping. I put in like the start of it, and then I put in kind of like a little bit of the end of it, and then the rest of it, yeah, I had to get rid of because there was so much going on in this video that it would have been like an hour and a half long. But yeah, I think the landscaping is really the only thing I cut out. Um, but yeah, this build took me 2 streams to finish, which is quite a lot. Usually, I do a majority of it within 1 stream, and then I will go work on the last little touch ups here and there at the end. But yeah, like I said, this one took me 2 streams. It was, I think, 6.5 hours worth of raw footage, which I think cuts down to about 5.5 of just building. Um, and yeah, I had to go in and cut out all the pauses and the breaks and the bits where the game is glitching out on me a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm ever searching for something in the game, like I want to find a particular item and I'm looking it up, it will freeze on me the first time I look something up. So I will type in the first letter into the little search bar, and no matter what I type after it, it'll just freeze. And then maybe 30 seconds later, it really depends. Depends on, I guess, how my computer feels. I'm not sure. But yeah, after about 30 seconds, it will start typing the rest of the words, like the rest of the letters that I've typed. So it does take a little bit to get that first search going. But then when I'm using CC especially, trying to actually click on what I'm asking it to search for, because the game runs through everything that has those names or is related to that name, um, it will, yeah, obviously it has to run through everything, and it takes a hot minute to go through all the CC. And it even sometimes takes a hot minute when I'm not using CC because it's still there in the background, and I guess it's still kind of running background on it, except that it's identifying the fact that, okay, this is CC, ignore it, instead of this is CC, are we reading it? Are we trying to include this in the search? So yeah, it does slow your computer down a little bit to have CC. And I know a lot of people aren't necessarily big fans of having or using CC. There are some of my builder friends who are like, I like the idea of having CC and maybe one day I'll use it, and I'm sitting there whispering in their ear like, use it, get CC. And I understand why some people don't. Especially like console players who, can't really get CC. But yeah, some PC players don't have the capabilities because, not everybody's laptops can run it, not everyone's desktops can run it. So yeah, some people's PCs are just not built to handle the stress of CC, and I know if I continue with it, mine will start to glitch out. I actually have a very small amount, apparently, compared to a lot of other people. A lot of other people are saying they have 100 or more gigs of CC, and I think I'm at 20, which is not all that much. And I guess the big difference is that a lot of people also have CAS CC, so they have, okay, maybe they have a lot of CAS CC to create, let's say, a school of some sort, maybe like a boarding school or whatever, but then they've got all the CC to go along to make school uniforms and like teachers' outfits and stuff like that. But also like facial there's like makeup and stuff like that, and even down to like nails and shoes, and there's so many individual things that you could pick for it. And I know that's the same with CC. Like, you know, there are some CC creators out there who kind of do like CC packs where it's, I mean, most of them are actually themed. So, you know, some of them will have you know, Greek inspired, Roman inspired, will have all sorts of different things. I don't know why those are the two only things I can think of. You know, there's Berlin as the name is a pack. I'm just trying to think of like yeah, some CC creators do things that are specific to room style. So they're like, okay, here's a style of like living room that you can have, or a style of bathroom that you can have. So yeah, really, people go in and do a lot of different things, and you can get a lot of different stuff. And it's the same with the cast CC. So I totally understand why people don't want to use it, because it is a lot. Also, just if you saw the fact that I was using a pink pathway, I was only doing that just so I could see where the path was. I mean, obviously even a black path against green grass, but I wanted it to just be really stand out so I could get it visualized in my mind. But you can see quickly I changed that. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, with CC, it's not always something that people can have. So yeah, I definitely try not to use it all that often, hence why it's only being used within this challenge. If you are kind of new to me and my little builds and whatnot, I am currently in the middle of, at the beginning of a challenge, not a challenge, a build series. A build series called the Pokemon build series, where I'm loosely inspired by every single Pokemon and they all get their own build. But in the month of February, I kind of decided to continue doing the A to Z challenge, which is a challenge I came up with a couple years ago, where every build is the letter of the alphabet in the order that we know it, as we are taught it in primary school. So yeah, as the days progress, the letters progress, and I do a build based off that letter. And I started doing it in February just because the timeline for me worked really well. With uni, I studied summer semesters a lot. Actually, I studied every summer semester. And actually technically we're still within that summer period. I would technically still be studying at the moment. Actually, no, I would be just finished studying, I think. I think it was like maybe the first week of February, maybe. I don't know, I can't remember. It's been a year since I've had to study during this time period, really. But yeah, like I would normally study during the summer semester, and it would kind of finish up, and I would have most of February off, which was fantastic. And so I'd just go in and do all these builds and get them out, and then start running the challenge as a build challenge that people could participate in, and it would be not in a month, it would be in over several months, so that you could have a week to do each build. And I've recently opened it up to cast, so yeah, when I run it again, we will also have cast challenges, and I don't know, I'm very excited for that. So if you guys are interested, definitely keep an eye out and an ear out, because I will talk about it a bit more. I'm definitely going to talk about it over more places, and have the entries probably, I'm thinking, just be over on the gallery. As long as you have the right hashtag, you're entered into the challenge, I guess. And it's also cast, like I said before. So if you want to participate, you can absolutely go ahead and start building now. I just don't know what the hashtags will be yet. I will let you know when I know. I will probably, like, I'll definitely be sharing it over on my Instagram, but I'll also probably be sharing it in the community tab, I think it's called, over here on YouTube. So yeah, if you want to see that, definitely check that out. I'll also be talking a lot about it over on my Twitch. So yeah, there's lots of places where I'll talk about it, but the hashtag will probably be the same. So as soon as you find out the first hashtag, it'll be the same for every week, except the letter will change. So, you know, if it's this like this particular hashtag, you know, if I say 2025A and that's the hashtag, which I don't think it would be, because that's just like the year and the letter. But you know, if you find out in week A that's the hashtag, then in week B it would be 2025B. So you know that it'll be the same hashtag every time. And I do differentiate between CAS and building, just so that you guys who want to do CAS can and be like, you have your own little category, and then people who are doing building can have their own little category. So yeah, if you're interested in that, definitely keep an eye out. You absolutely can get started now. There's nothing stopping you. It's just that, yeah, each week there will be a different, I can't think of the word, like a different hashtag for it and a different letter. And yeah, that's really it. There's no other rules other than no CC. So you can have whatever pack, whatever kit, I don't care. You can build whatever you want. You can make it as big as you want, as small as you want. You can create CAS. I don't care if it's human or animal. Really up to you. And again, like for CAS, it could be a specific person. It could be a job. I can't really think of what else beyond that. Like if you want to build a like a witch for W, you absolutely could do that. But if you wanted to build, I still don't know the words for CAS. I'm a little uneducated in that. But you know, if you wanted to create Sabrina the Teenage Witch for the letter S, you absolutely could do that. Or you could just do witch for W. Like it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. You could do a work person, a police officer, I don't know. You could even just build like a townie for T. I feel like that one would be fine, because you know, there's like a general look that all the townies have that's just like, you're a randomly generated townie, aren't you? So you know, yeah, whatever you want. And like I said before, if you want to, you can absolutely get started. You can like I said, you can get started early, and yeah, just submit them before the due date. The first letter will be during the first week of July. So I do it July to December, but usually the last 4 weeks, because I know December can be a crazy time for a lot of people. It is due basically anytime before then, but I might be changing it up based on how I put out this stuff in the future, like how I it is subject to changing. Changes a little bit every year, but the long and short of it is that you get a new letter each week, and you can participate in as many or as little letters. I always forget to say that. If you only want to do one letter, you only have to do one letter. You don't have to do them all, because I know 26 builds is a lot. I know some people who've done, there was recently 26 tiny home builds for Christmas. Actually 26, it was 24 I think, sorry. Based on, I think, the worlds. I'm not sure. I think it was 24. But yeah, basically that many builds for over Christmas and whatnot in tiny homes, and I know a few people did it. So, you know, I definitely think, yeah, some people could definitely be interested in it. But if you are interested in doing this challenge, like I said, you can definitely start early so that you're not stressed and, you know, stress building like I am. But you also don't have to do every week. So if you just want to do a couple of weeks, you absolutely could also do that. But you also don't have to participate at all. It's really just a challenge that if you want to get involved and you want to sort of challenge yourself and get outside your comfort zone and try and build something new, that's the whole goal of it. It's really just to, challenge yourself. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. I do love good challenges like that. Like I think it was Barbie the Ninja who did the Christmas advent calendar with the different shell challenges. Sorry, not shells, sorry, the tiny homes, where you get to build whatever tiny home you wanted in that particular world. And I really liked that idea. It's ideas like that I find to be really challenging, because they make you think outside the box. Like, okay, there are 24 homes that I'm doing, but there are could be 24 different styles that you do, and they're all based on the world that you're in. They're all completely different worlds, and you could do completely different things in it. You know, like if you were working in Henford on Bagley, you could do a tiny little cutesy cottage, whereas if you were working in Del Sol Valley, you could do some sort of like micro rich home that some sort of celebrity lives in because they don't want a big square footage, but they still want a nice fancy home. Like there's so many different things you could do within challenges like that, and that's what I love about The Sims. Is like you guys can do so much, so many different things, and never run out of ideas. You know, like I have built, now that we've sort of started with the style, I'm going to start talking about it, but I have built so many sort of industrial, it's still not the word I'm thinking of, but like brutalist, I think brutalist is the word I've been thinking of this entire time, but a lot of brutalist type builds on this particular lot, but every single one has been a different type. You know, like, yes, the landscaping has all been the same, but that's because it's the one type of landscaping I feel confident with. This is the one world where I'm like, landscaping, I got it. But yeah, like the every time I do this build, I feel like I could do it differently each time and just have a different vibe and feeling, and I really enjoy this whole process of getting that done, you know. This one here is a very, I wanna almost say like a modern mansion holiday home vibe. That's kind of what I'm going for. And I really, really enjoy it. I like it. I really do. I mean, I'm not one to sit here and boast about my builds, but when I'm proud of them, I allow myself to be proud, because I know I can be really harsh against myself sometimes. I know I can be like, ugh, like, I don't know how I feel about this build, ugh. But this, like, I feel proud of. I think this is definitely my sort of style of build, something I feel comfortable in. You know, trying to do builds that are specific to a particular country, I'm not particularly confident in. I'm not confident in like cutesy cottagey styles, or I guess like homely family home vibes and stuff like that. But this, I don't know why, but this speaks to me. Like I feel really comfortable and confident with it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm allowing myself to be proud of myself every once in a while, and yeah. That's I mean, that's pretty much it when it comes to this build. I feel very, very comfortable and proud with it. I really do enjoy the whole concept of dark vibes. I mean, did I not just recently do a build like this? I swear I did. Maybe it's because I've been editing this video and I've been watching it this whole time. I swear. Recently, I've been doing builds and editing videos and things like that, and it just goes in one eye and out the other, I guess, if you did. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but I feel like I've been doing a lot of builds like this, but it also is probably because I spent a lot of last night and a lot of this morning editing this video, and I went to sleep in the middle of it and probably dreamed about builds like this. Not gonna lie, did not sleep really well at all last night. I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was wide awake and I couldn't figure out why. And then at about 7 a.m. I woke up to a 9-kilo creature yelling at me, who's currently asleep right next to me, having the time of her life, zoinked out, just sleeping the world away. She is my whole heart and soul. But yeah, she she loves to stand on me, especially when I'm sleeping. She doesn't do it like in the middle of the night, so when I woke up at 4 a.m. it wasn't her, and my door was closed, like my bedroom door was closed, so she doesn't like being trapped in rooms, which understandable. I don't really like being trapped either. You know, if I'm in a room and the door's closed, she's fine, because she knows if she says, hey, can you let me out, I'll let her out. But if I am not in the room, she will yell and yell and yell, which is not great when you're moving and you're like, you need to stay in that room, because it's like there's people moving in and out with furniture and things like that, and it's not safe, and you don't know the area, and you don't know anything about anything around here, and you just in case you guys don't know, Macy is my cat. I absolutely adore her, and more than a little bit obsessed with her. So yeah. Anyway, talking about the build, yeah. So yeah, when I was doing this build, I wasn't sure what sort of build I wanted to do. And so I had a look at a list of builds that I have had probably for 2 or 3 years. The list does change, it does move around, I do take things on and off it. And it's because, yeah, I'll sit down every X amount of time and I'll write down a bunch of ideas and put them in this big list. And then I start building based on that list. And then I get to a point where I feel like I'm running out of ideas, even though the list is still pretty full. And then I will go through and take things off the list that I'm like, I have done something like this already, I don't feel motivated to this or whatever. And then I'll sit down and I'll come up with more stuff to add to that list. So there are things that have been on there for like the entirety of the existence of that list. I feel like that list has just been absolutely filled to the brim forever. And so yeah, when I was trying to come up with ideas for this challenge, I resorted back to that list, and one that's been on there for a little while is a jungle home, like a house in the jungle. And the reason being is that a very long time ago, James Turner did a jungle home build, and I was really, really inspired by it. And I'll be honest with you guys, have not seen that video in forever. Like I could not tell you how long it's been since I've seen that video. But that home has always inspired me. I've still wanted to build something like this, and I'm really, really glad that I did. Like I feel really happy with how this turned out. Now, again, I haven't seen that video in a long time. No idea if I replicated it, if I was anything close to it or not, but I kind of just jumped in. I may have had an inspo photo for it, I'm not sure. Apparently I've not been sending all my inspo photos. Normally I save them so that I can talk about like, okay, it looked like this and this is the vibe I had and this is kind of what I was thinking. And yeah, apparently I just completely forgot to do that. So unfortunately we do not have the inspo photo available at the moment. I'm sure I could search up some things and kind of figure out what sort of, if I even did have an inspo photo or not. But like I said, this style of building is really comfortable for me. It is something that I really thoroughly enjoy, and so I'm not even entirely sure I had an inspo photo for this one. But the inspiration definitely was James Turner's video. That, you know, I know that he's very big into gameplay at the moment, but I miss a lot of his builds like that. It was what got me into building, and so for me it's kind of a little bit nostalgic, I guess, to watch those build videos. Sometimes I'll go back and watch some of the ones that I've already seen before, and it's like I say, it's a comfort, it's nostalgia for me. I enjoy watching these builds. Sometimes when I'm building, I put on a playlist. Sometimes it's his, sometimes it's other people's, and yeah, I just sit and watch these builds because it's really, really inspiring. You know, there are some deli builds that I have seen that I'm like, ooh, I love that, like this aspect of it. I love this bit here, and I would love to be able to take that inspiration and build something based on that. And I haven't, and I've remembered to take screenshots and things like that of the specific parts that have inspired me, but the problem is I don't remember what videos they came from, so now I can't even go back to see what the video was to find out what the inspiration was. Like the jungle home, I remembered because that was probably one of the very first builds that I was like, ooh, I would love to do something like that, and it stuck with me for a very long time. But yeah, other ones I take screenshots of so that I don't have to remember the names of the video. Like there was another one that James did that was some sort of planty restaurant vibe, and I've just never recreated it. So not recreated it, but I've never used it as an inspiration. But there is a restaurant with planty vibes that I have in my brain that I would like to build, which is also inspired by a couple of other builders that I've seen do similar things. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of all the different build videos or just builds in general that I've seen that are very planty restaurants. So yeah, I don't know. You might see more builds in the future that are sort of inspired by things like that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm very keen to get in and get those done and just have fun with stuff like that. You know, when I build with CC, I feel really. It's kind of like somebody has taken the leash off. Like, I could just build whatever I wanted. And you know what? If I don't have the CC that could help me build what I wanted, I could just go find it. Like, I could easily just go find more. I could go find something else that fits what I'm looking for and go with that. Um, but then when I go back to building without CC, I'm like, you know what? This is an extra challenge and I love this. How can I use what we have in the game to make this feel like there is CC in this game? How do I make this game work with me and not against me? And I find that when I do stuff like that, like I come out with some pretty decent builds. And I haven't been building with CC all that long. I think I only started kind of halfway through last year, maybe. It's really not something I've been doing for a very long time. So there's definitely people out there who've been using CC since day dot and are amazing builders regardless of whether or not they use it. I still feel pretty new to building. I know I've been doing it for 4 years on here, but I've been doing it. I don't know. I would say I've been building. It kind of scares me because the other day when the Sims stream was happening and they had all of those questions popping up, being like, "Are you a cast player or are you a build player?" Like all the polls that were popping up in chat. It was over on Twitch. I don't know if there was any on the YouTube stream, but one of them was like, "How long have you been playing Sims for?" And the options were, like 25 years, 10 years plus, 5 years plus, 1 year or less. And I was like, well, what if you've been building for like what if you've been playing for like 3 years? Because I haven't been playing for 3 years. I haven't at all. I'm at 9 years, like not 9 years. What? Like that's insane. What do you mean 9 years? It's probably 8, but 8 to 9 years that I've been. What? Like I can't wrap my little brain around that. How is it? I'm gonna go with 8 because that's less scary than 9, but that's still scary. 8 years? Like what? You could have a whole child in that time and it be talking and thinking and doing things on its own. Like you could grow a whole human being in that time and raise it to a degree of like it. This child would have the ability to, I want to do this in the future and these are my dreams and this is what I like. 3 years, if you had a child in 3 years, I'd be less scared because I'd be like, yeah, okay, you could have a kid and they would be like, hey, I want to play toy trucks today, and that's it. Like, that's as far as, I mean, I'm not saying all 3-year-olds like that. You absolutely could have a 3-year-old who absolutely knows what they want to do when they grow up, but that's less scary than an 8-year-old. And like, I don't know why that's the translation. Like, I don't have kids, and like, but it's tripping me up. I don't know. Do you guys get tripped up by stuff like that? Is that what freaks you out? I know that some people get freaked out with time because of the fact that it means they're aging, but I don't know. I don't think that bit has clicked in my head yet. That, 8 years ago I was 8 years younger than what I am now. But weird. If I dwell on this too long, I think I'm going to lose my brain, lose my mind. And you know what? Let's not let's not do that. I think it'd be good to keep my brain in one working place, one working order. Because I got some building to do today. I mean, I also have to edit and. Sorry, let me try that again. I also have to edit a video, but I would like to play. I just want to build. There's a build that I have to do a lot of cluttering in, and I don't think I'm going to include the clutter within the, what do you call it? I don't think I'm going to include the clutter in the video, so I'm just going to be doing this off off stream, off recording, off camera, because it's a lot of monotonous building, but it will definitely show up in the short, because I finish last minute touches before I take shorts, like before I record the stuff for the shorts, and I don't know, I'm very keen just to get in and get this done. There's some things that I think I will record, but I think what I'm gonna do first is figure out how long this video already is, like how many hours of raw footage, and if I've hit 4 or more, then I don't think I'm gonna record any more footage. If it's 4, I can give myself maximum 30 more minutes, I feel, 30 to, if I'm really pushing it, 60, because I know I can cut out some stuff from streaming. But if it's any longer, we're gonna have videos like this where it is over an hour, and I'm not particularly a huge fan of doing really, really long videos like this. I mean, okay, on the flip side, I am someone who doesn't really like watching 10-minute long videos. I was talking the other day about how I was watching a 9-hour long video, so that should go to tell you that I really appreciate long form content, like extremely long. I'm not a huge fan of like I said, 10-minute content videos, except for tutorials. If you were doing a tutorial and you make it as short and sweet as possible, you are my favorite. There are some tutorials out there, like obviously, if this is the first time meeting me, you might not know this, but yeah, I recently changed editing softwares from Blender to DaVinci Resolve, and there was a tutorial that I have found but I have not watched that is like 3.5 hours long, I think, and it is a full comprehensive tutorial on how to use DaVinci. And you know what, maybe one day I will watch it. I can guarantee you I will skip parts of it, because there are parts of it I will never need to know. I don't color correct my videos because I also don't use shaders in game, or reshade or anything like that, or G-shade. I don't know, people use different terminology and I get a little confused because I am technologically illiterate. But anyway, I would probably skip over color correction and things like that, because in my mind, I don't want people seeing my builds and it looking a certain way and then downloading my builds and it looking a different way. I'm not too fussed about screenshots, thumbnails and stuff like that, because a thumbnail is there to capture your attention. Like that's what it is there for. But the actual video and the build itself, I'm not a huge fan of. I feel it's almost misrepresenting the build for me. I mean, that's not to say, like, I know other people who do build like that, and I have downloaded their builds and looked around, and I've not felt that way about their builds, but I just don't want to put that out there for mine. I'm part of it, but I feel like part of it is that, but I'm not gonna lie, part of it is also probably because if I do end up color correcting my videos, it's gonna take much longer to fix it all, and edit it all, and I honestly, quite honestly with you guys, do not want to do that. I'm quite happy leaving it the way it is. But yeah, also, like I was saying, I don't want to feel like I'm misleading people. I want people to look at what they see and it to represent what I'm showing. So, like that's kind of just, what I'm doing here is just basically, if you want to see what the build looks like this is what it looks like. There's no changes or adjustments that I've used to it. But I won't lie to you guys, people who use G-shade and reshade and all of that, my goodness, do their builds look so much better. Like, it's beautiful. I know there are some people who use like a map. I don't know what it is, but it's basically like a map reshade, map recolor. They changed the background image for the maps so that when you go in, it just looks so much nicer. And I am tempted, but I'm also sort of like, this is gonna sound silly as someone who's using CC, but I like the things the way they are, even if they're not the way I would have made them. It's the way that they are made, and I don't know, I think sometimes I need to appreciate the things that are not mine, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way of what I'm trying to say, but basically, you know, there are people who've worked on this game and worked on the art, and I don't know, I want to appreciate it. And that's not to say if you use reshade or anything like that that you're not appreciating it. You're absolutely allowed to change things if you want. It's just that I don't know. It doesn't bother me that it's not the greatest. It doesn't bother me that the maps could use some updating and whatever. Like it kind of, it takes me to like, this is what the game used to be like, and this is bits and pieces that have changed. You know, they've changed and updated some of the builds within the games, and you know, if you look at the original builds or the ones that they haven't changed versus the builds that content creators, like sim creators, have made, like you can see the progress within the game, and I guess I like seeing that progress. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like I can see from where this game started and where it's now and where I hope it to be in the future. Like there's progress, and I like that. I know I say a lot that I don't like change, but progress is something I do like, and being able to see where it started, where it is now, and where I think it's going. Like I don't know. I think it's beautiful to see, I guess, the history of the game. And I know some people might be listening to me being like, what on earth are you talking about? Like, you sound so dumb right now. And you know what? I probably do. But I don't know. It just, I guess it's some things I don't think need to be changed, even if they're not perfect. You know, I really, I can't explain it beyond that. But yeah. Also, there are plenty of things in this build where I'm like, oh, cool, we're nearly done. When I was editing this video, I was like, because I can only see, I've zoomed in so I can only see a portion of the video that I'm editing, so that I can really, like, be refined in it. And yeah, every time I'm like, oh, cool, we're close to the end. And then I look at how much footage is left, and I'm like, what? Like, how is there so much left to do? I don't understand. Even right towards the end, like, I usually do landscaping as the very last thing, but then I'm going around and doing lighting and last minute touch-ups and things like that, and I'm like, what? Like, what? How am I not done yet? Like, there's so much going on in this build, and I'm kind of not mad at that. Like, at first, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of annoying that there is so much going on. There are some things that I'm unsure about, and I'm doing this and that to try and figure it out, and do I do this or do I do that, and let me do this and then put this here, and it does take me a while to figure some things out. And some of those things where I'm kind of just sitting there going, I don't know what I'm doing, I just cut it out. So you do actually skip some of those scenes where I have no idea what I'm doing, but some of them I don't cut out, so yeah, you will see some parts where I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know. But yeah, that's the good thing about streaming, though, is that I could go in and be like, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like I want to put this, and this is the vibe I'm going for, and I don't know, what about these colors and whatnot? And people are like, hey, I like this thing here that you did, or actually that thing there, that doesn't make sense. And it kind of, it helps me work through what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to sort out and figure out. You know, like, obviously right now I'm trying to pick, do I like this rug or not? And then the reason why I moved to rugs is because I couldn't figure out what sort of bedspread I wanted. But by picking a rug, it helps me pick a bedspread, and, you know, talking with people, it just really helped me out with this build. And let me tell you, that rug is probably my favorite rug in this entire game. The first time I saw it, I was like, wow. Like, I don't know what it is, but I love it so much. And the rug that's underneath the bed is probably another one of my favorites. It's so simple, it's so plain, it's so just, I don't want to say basic, but it's so basic in a beautiful way. Like, it is such a beautiful, simple rug that you could use anywhere. Like, you could use it anywhere, and I love that about this rug. It's just, it's amazing. Like the other rug that's downstairs is very specific to, like, you've got to have the right furniture and colors and styles that go with it, but this sort of rug, like, you could use it almost anywhere. And I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I believe I've used it in multiple builds as well. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I'm pretty sure I've used it in multiple builds because I love it. And same with the rug that's downstairs. I've used them both in multiple builds. In fact, I'm pretty sure the first time I saw the rug that's downstairs, and probably also this one, was when I was doing the desert luxury villas. I'm pretty sure I used that rug in that build a lot. And you know what? That build, oh my god, it was... Again, CC just makes things so much better. There's even a CC pool colouring. I don't use it here, but I forgot about that until just then because I used it in that build. And, oh, I swear, sometimes I wish we had massive lots, like 100 by 100 lots. Other times, I'm so grateful that we don't, because I know I would get lost within those lots, and I would probably break my computer just trying to build within them. But if that was a possibility, do you know how happy I would be? I don't know why 64 is the limit. If you know anything about how gaming works, specifically Sims, why 64 by 64? I'd love to know that, because if we could have bigger, why not? I know, okay, I know why they limit the amount of lots in our world, and it's because, you know, it could be very taxing on people's hardware. The software can be taxing on people's hardware. But is it the same thing? Because, like, that makes sense to me. It makes sense, but also, could we have one, please? Just one? I know that 50 by 50 and 64 by 64 are both extremely big lot sizes, but could you imagine the builds? Like, there are some people in my mind who I'm like, oh my goodness, I could already see, like, this person here would be doing not just a castle, but a whole village around it, and, you know, this person here who's done street scenes where there's a few houses here and there, they would be doing massive, like basically like a mini suburb, or like a shopping mall. You could actually do a full-on shopping mall. We don't really call them malls here. We call them shopping centers, but yeah, you could do it. You could do a whole shopping center. Do you know how much you could do with a big build like that, a big lot like that? Not gonna lie to you guys, I would probably start a build there, get overwhelmed, and I don't know if you'd ever see it. There are a few builds. My very first ever test runs with CC. I don't think you guys will ever see those builds. I don't even know if I have them. They're not fully developed builds. They're just like I was like, just go in and have fun and like try and do these few styles here and these builds here. There's a few ideas in my head that I've really, really wanted to build, but I haven't really had a reason to. I mean, building just because there's a reason to, but now that I have the Pokemon build challenge, the build series, and I have the A to Z challenge, it's kind of hard to fit some of these build ideas in, but I feel like some of them I could absolutely do if I theme. I mean, I don't even have to theme my builds. I absolutely could just build the build because I want to, but I think if I had these themes, I could make it work. I could do these builds, and I think it would be really, really, really enjoyable to do them. There's a few TV shows that I want to try and recreate certain houses from, or be inspired by those houses. There's one particular house I really want to build. It's from a show called Blacklist, or The Blacklist, I should say. And I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone. I'm just going to say it is a house by a beach, and it's very white. So if you have watched Blacklist and you know what house I'm talking about, I would love to build that. I don't think I would build it the same way. I think I would furnish it differently. And I think that is all I'm going to say on that. I'm not spoiling anything or like alluding to anything within the story really, but I just yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. But yeah, then I would have to come up with a bunch of different other houses, and I'm not. I mean, it doesn't have to be houses, but like buildings inspired by TV shows, and I'm not positive that I want to do that. You know, I could do like a Poke Center for the letter P, and you know that would be fun. And I could do a I don't know, I can't think of anything else. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you could do the Simpsons house, but I feel like some of these things have definitely been overdone by a bajillion tons. So I don't really want to recreate very mainstream popular things, but that's the thing. Like within Blacklist, there are certain things that are very like I could do the post office. You know, I could build that. That's probably very mainstream for that show. Like that's probably one of the more well known buildings within the show. Or I could do where Keen lives, like the townhouse where she lives. I'll be real, haven't watched the full thing, but I'm also being careful with how I speak just in case people are only just starting it or aren't up to where I'm up to. So, you know, if you've watched the first episode, you know that she lives in a townhouse. That's not like I'm not spoiling that. And if you have watched the first episode, you know about the post office. So I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything there either. And the house by the beach, again, not spoiling anything because I'm not talking about what happens within that episode or anything, but yeah, there is a house by a beach at some point. And it is, if you've watched the show, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like if you've watched a decent amount of it. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, it's the fact that like the townhouse and the post office are both places that are very mainstream. They're very I don't want to say mainstream, but if you've watched the show, you know them. I could be like, oh, you know this scene where they're in this room of the whatever, and oh yeah, you remember this scene where they're also in that same place, and it's like you could describe the whole place and easily build it. I don't necessarily want to do stuff like that. So, you know, like let's say if I were to take The Simpsons, maybe I would build like the Quickie Mart or something. Or like the school or something that's like it's not the main building of the show. Not that these shows are about buildings, but you know, the Simpsons house is the main house within the show. So I kind of don't want to do stuff like that. I kind of want to do things a little bit, I don't want to say left of field, but things that are just a step to the side, like still within the shows, but maybe stuff that hasn't necessarily been built before. I don't think I would do anything from The Simpsons though, because as a kid, wasn't allowed to watch it, and you know I've watched it a bit as an adult, but I'm not a die-hard Simpsons fan as some people are, and yeah, I just not motivated to build that that house really. And also, like, the other thing is, I don't think I would ever feel comfortable to try and, not that I do cast, but to try and create The Simpsons in cast, it would just feel weird to try and create a cartoon family in real life. I don't know, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, there's a show like Bob's Burgers, I could definitely, like, that, you could definitely create, that. I feel like that family's a little less difficult and odd to create in cast because they're a bit more cast friendly, I guess. Every time I see, I guess, like recreations or like this is what The Simpsons would look like in real life, it's really jarring because they're not very translatable into real life, I guess, whereas other TV shows are kind of are. Like, if someone were to dress up as Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, I would not be startled by that because again he's very translatable, but I don't know, there's something about The Simpsons that I don't think is very translatable, and it puts me off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of builds that I do want to do. There are some builds that aren't TV show movie related that I do want to build, but I feel like if I were to do media like that, like media based builds, I would try and do some stuff from some builds. Sorry, I will try and build based on some movies and TV shows that I have seen that aren't all that mainstream, I guess. So I definitely should sit down and write a list and kind of come up with it, but I'm not sure how motivated I am to finish that list, because I can only really think of a handful of things, and some of those letters would be hard. Like, the only, I don't know, there's some TV shows that just, and movies that I don't know if they start with that letter that I have seen and that I want to build. You know, I have done a V for Vendetta inspired build for a collab, and that was amazing. That was so much fun. I don't think I'd ever recreated those. So, I mean, maybe I would. There's a couple of other buildings within it that I could definitely recreate. And I think it could be super fun. So maybe I will. And you know what? These letters aren't all that difficult, I guess, to recreate. Letters? Did I say letters, numbers? I don't know. I'm confusing myself. Yeah, like some of these builds I feel like I could definitely do. I think they are very translatable into the game. So maybe I will. There's also been the idea of doing places as a theme. Like, I could do real life places, but I don't think I really want to do that. You know, I get that in TVs and movie shows. In movies and TV shows. Sorry, how did I mess that up? Anyway, in TV shows and movies, I nearly messed it up again. But in those things that we consume and look at it with our eyes, I get that some of these places are real houses, real buildings. You know, like the house from Home Alone. I'm pretty sure that's a real house, and I don't know if I want to like recreate something like that. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it would be a bit odd to recreate a real life house. Not to say I won't, like I absolutely could do that. And also, you know, like I was saying, the house from the Blacklist that I was talking about is probably also a real house. Maybe they didn't record in the interior of the house, maybe they did, I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm like, I am not sure that I want to do that. I don't know. It's something curious and interesting and different, and something that I think I definitely will try and figure out as I get there. I mean, I'm probably going to try and figure out before July, because I'm thinking I might start the builds each week as we get closer. Like, when I run the challenge for you guys, when I release week 8 to you, I might spend one stream working on that build, and then if it's not done, that's fine, but, you know, continue working on other builds and stuff like that are around, and then when I get to February next year, I will have 26 half-finished builds instead of 10-ish half-finished builds and none of the rest, and have to stress build like I feel like I'm going to this month. But, you know, that's fine. I'll be honest with you guys, I have finished 3 builds for this week, so I still have 4 more to go. One of them I've started, and I'm probably halfway, and the rest I have not. And I know some of them are going to be a bit big, so definitely got to get in and rush those. Not rush them, but like just, yeah, knuckle down and get them done and stop being so distracted throughout the day like I usually am. So yeah, hopefully I can get that in and get done. So yeah, I think for the rest of today, my goal is I will upload that. I'm going to upload a couple of other things that I need to put on YouTube and Instagram, and then I'm going to go work on the library build. Oh, I just spoiled what I'm doing. Whoops. I try not to spoil what I'm doing. I don't know why. I like to keep it a secret. But, you know, there you go. There's a spoiler. If you've made it this far to the video, you know what that build is going to be. But anyway, yeah, cool. Fantastic. But yeah, that build I will be working on for the rest of today, and editing tomorrow's video as well. And yeah, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm ahead, sometimes I feel like I'm behind, and I guess it really just depends on how I feel internally. Like right now, I am feeling a little bit anxious because this video is going to be up late, and I don't like my videos being up late, but it's because I've been distracted today. There's plenty of things that have distracted me, and that is entirely my fault. But I feel like if I knuckle down and get some work done, I can definitely get ahead. I feel like if I finish this build today and edit tomorrow's video, that I'll definitely feel on top of the world and much more ahead. So that in the morning I can just get up, record the video, put it out, and then work on the next video after that, and maybe even record that one tomorrow. And then finally I'll be a day ahead. Because I keep saying, like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a day ahead, I'm going to get a day ahead. And then, yeah, life and stuff gets in the way, and I get distracted, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and it just, it takes a while. It definitely takes a while. So, yeah, we're going to just keep on keeping on, keep on working, keeping on getting that stuff done. And yeah, I'm kind of really excited for that. So I hope that I can keep on top of things. And if you guys are also needing to do a lot of work, I hope you guys can keep on top of it too. I was talking the other day about things that help me keep on top of things, and at the moment, yeah, like just talking about it is something that's really good. Sometimes when I talk about how stressed I am, it makes me more stressed, but I think I'm at the level where I'm like, you know what, you're just being a bit silly, don't be stressed, and I can kind of talk myself out of it. So yeah, I think it's good to kind of talk about, but I probably won't talk about it later on in this challenge, like later on in the month. But another thing about the month is kind of using it as a countdown until the days get cooler again, because it's been really hot lately. In Australia, February is kind of like the hottest month of the year, and I'm just very keen to get February over and done with. It's kind of like late January, early February, and we are kind of leaving early February and kind of heading towards mid-February, which means the heat's kind of wrapping up. It's kind of like, you know, like in the middle of the day, you'd think, well, that's where the sun is the highest, so it should be the hottest, but it's not. It's like 2 to 3 p.m. is kind of when it's the hottest, and it's the same. The coolest in the middle of the night, you'd think it is, because that is when the sun has been away for the longest, but it actually takes some more time to cool down. Same with like the heating up thing, like it is heating up, but when the sun is directly up in the middle of the sky, it still takes some more time for all that heat to get to us. I know it's 8 minutes for the light to get from the sun to us, but you know, it's not until after that, in the afternoon, where it's really been sitting there and festering, that it gets really, really hot. And so it would make sense that it takes time to cool down. And I guess it is sort of the same thing in the long run with weather. Like, yes, the angle of the earth is changing so that my area of the earth is not being exposed to the sun for as long, but it's heated up this side of the planet, and it needs time to cool down. At least that's my thinking. If you are somebody who's smarter than me, which is probably a lot of you, definitely let me know if I'm wrong in my thinking. This is all hypothetical, and I have no idea if that's true or not. I do know that February is usually hotter, like late January, early February is usually hotter, but let's be honest, Australia is usually quite hot. A lot of people are very shocked, though, about how cold it can get here as well, especially on the East Coast. So, yeah, like in Australia, it can definitely get really, really hot. And, you know, if you're from an area in a similar geolocation, I guess, I don't know, like a similar distance from the equator as certain places in Australia are, you probably understand what the heat is like. The other problem is that, yeah, we kind of have a hole in the ozone layer over us, so we're less protected from the sun. I've always been taught if you can see the sky, the sun can see you, and you can get sunburnt, and that is, like, it's pretty bad with how badly you can get sunburn here. But the other thing is, in winter, we're close to the Arctic. We get Arctic winds, especially the more south you go, and then, yeah, like, it gets really, really bone-chillingly cold. And also, our houses are not built the best. So you would expect that, oh, because you guys are constantly dealing with heat, your houses must be really good at like warding off the heat. But no, because it gets really, really, really cold here too, our houses are not like, we're not sure, should we insulate for the heat or the cold? So yeah, we're poorly insulated. Although a lot of people are starting to renovate their houses and stuff like that and improve the what do you call it? Renovation? Nope, the insulation, so that heat isn't trapped and that the cold doesn't seep in. And I feel like a lot of apartments are better at that sort of heating cooling stuff, especially more modern apartments. If it's older, don't even bother. Don't even bother. It's going to be stinking hot and freezing cold at the same time. Not at the same time, but like it's going to be gross. It's going to be yucky. And you're not going to be able to regulate the temperature, and it's going to be expensive and annoying. But yeah, I used to be like, I don't like the cold. I don't like it at all. I prefer it to be hot. But now I'm like, nah, I hate it. I hate the heat. I'm over it. I'm done. I'd rather the cold. I really would. Because I hate that. I want to cuddle with Macy, and I want to pat her and whatnot. And when it's really hot, neither of us want to be touched. But she's determined to sleep on top of me sometimes, even if it's really hot. And then when she gets hot and bothered, not when I try and remove her off me, not when I tell her it's hot, not when she gets hot and bothered, then she'll get up off me. But she still has to have a paw touching me. It's usually one of her back paws touching my leg, but like dude, I love you so much, but why? It's so hot, stop touching me. So yeah, definitely prefer it when it's cooler, so that she can snuggle up and it's all good. And when it's cooler, she'll even snuggle up underneath the blanket. And do you guys know how cute it is when you have a pet snuggling up underneath the blanket? It makes my whole heart so whole. Like when it rains here, because it gets really hot and then it rains and it's really, really cold. I mean, not all the time. Sometimes it's really hot rain and I hate it. But yeah, sometimes it's really, really cold. And she will get caught in the rain, and every time it starts raining, I instantly go searching for her. And she'll come in absolutely soaking wet, and I have to towel dry her because I am not letting her get sick. But it's also like she just wants to snuggle up. So last time it rained, I had to dry her and then hang out the towel because the towel was wet, soaking wet, and she was dry. And then I lay down in bed for a little bit and snuggled with her because she was a little bit cold. And then when she warmed up, I was allowed to leave. She'll let me know if she's still not ready for me to leave. She'll meow at me and tell me like, where are you going? Stay here. Snuggle with me more. But if I get up and she doesn't move, it means that she's all good. I'm allowed to go now. She's warmed up enough that yeah, I'm allowed to go off and do things. So yeah, I definitely make sure she's warm and dry. But yeah, in the summer it's really, really hard because she's a Maine Coon, which is the biggest domesticated breed in Australia. I know it's not the biggest domesticated breed, but within Australia it is. And they're very, very, very fluffy cats. I don't know if you guys have seen Norwegian forest cats, but very, very similar vibes, very similar looks, except Norwegian forest cats are bigger, because they are wild cats. I mean, not all of them. Some people do own Norwegian forest cats, but they are wild cats, designed to live in the snow. I'm not actually sure where Macy's supposed to, like, I don't know where Maine Coons came from. I don't know their like any of that. So but she is very fluffy, and when we know it's going to be a particularly hot summer, we will actually go get her a haircut and give her a trim and whatnot. She doesn't really like it, but I know she definitely appreciates not being so hot all the time. But also I will make sure that there's lots of water available. Like I can tell when they are feeling hot, like the animals here are feeling hot because the water goes faster. And on those particularly hot days, like I said, we put the aircon on so that they are not overheating and getting sick or anything like that. Lots and lots of water. I will even get out ice cubes, run them under water, and the dogs here love to eat them. But like I said, I run them under water so that the ice doesn't stick to their tongue or anything like that. And Macy really enjoys it when I put a piece of ice in my hand and I let my hand get really, really, really cold, and then I put the ice in my other hand and I pat her with the cold hand, and then when the hand holding the ice can't handle holding the ice anymore, I swap hands and continue patting her. I end up with fur all over my hands, but she purrs so much because she's like, your hand is so cold and it is cooling me down, and this is beautiful, and thank you so much. So, you know, she really, really enjoys that. She's not too fussed about getting wet. Like, I know a lot of cats are like, absolutely hate water, but she's really not all that fussed about it. She doesn't really care. I mean, that's not to say that she's gonna sit in a shower and under the water like some cats do. But she used to sleep in the shower after people had showered, which I was like, why are you doing that? You're a weirdo. But yeah, she doesn't really seem to mind water, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, I don't think I've ever seen her swim, but we did have growing up. We had another Maine Coon, and unfortunately, yeah, I didn't have Macy at the same time as that cat. You know, I grew up and whatnot. But yeah, like I was saying, when I was a kid, we did have a Maine Coon, which is actually kind of why I got Macy. But yeah, that cat, she would sometimes go swimming. We had a pool, and she'd sometimes go swimming. She wouldn't choose to necessarily, but like a couple of times we saw her in the pool, and like, okay, that was a choice. She definitely chose to. But if we were in the pool just relaxing and cooling off on a hot day, she wouldn't necessarily go in the pool, but she would sit by the pool with us. And yeah, she kind of was okay with water as well. I don't know if that's like a Maine Coon specific thing, or if that's like a we just happen to have, or I just happen to have two cats who don't mind water. Yeah, it's like she's not really bothered by it. So yeah, if you guys have a Maine Coon, let me know down below. Does your cat like water or not? Do they like swimming, or do they absolutely despise getting their little paws wet? Actually, speaking of getting their paws wet, sometimes when it's hot, I will take Macy over to the water bowl and I'll stick my finger in it and hold it up so that she can see there's water on it, and she'll lick it off, and I'll like keep doing that, but getting my finger, making her get closer and closer to the bowl until she starts drinking water. And now she keeps dipping her paw into the water and then licking the water off her paw and then looking up at me, and I'm like, okay, I've accidentally trained my cat to drink water like this. She still drinks, you know, by putting her head to the water and licking it up, but she'll also deviate and switch it up depending on how she feels. Sometimes she'll lick the water and then she'll put her paw in it and lick it off her paw, and then she'll go back to licking the water. I don't know what she's doing, but you know, she's drinking water, and that's all that matters. She's a little weirdo, and I love her. But yeah, anyway, we are pretty much close to the end of this build. I kind of had it very minimally furnished. I wanted it to feel like a holiday home, so I don't know if you guys noticed at some point I do put in some suitcases upstairs. Like some people had just gotten there, put their suitcases down, and now they're off adventuring out in this area. But I really do love the idea of a holiday home here. It's one of those things where like, this is an appropriate place to have a holiday home. It's who's gonna live in the middle of the jungle? Like, it's not like there are a bajillion other homes around with a bajillion people trying to live here. It's somewhere that, yeah, I definitely feel like maybe not everywhere was live, and so it's probably a very good place to have a holiday home. You know, I'm not entirely against having a a place like a home being a holiday place, but yeah, not when we're in the middle of a housing crisis across the world. But anyway, it's enough of that. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. We are pretty much at the end of this video, so if you liked what you see, make sure to subscribe. I come out with a new video every single day except the last 2 days of February. And until the next one, I will see you guys until then. Bye, guys.